Hi everyone, today I am going to teach you a chapter named Polynomial, which is a very interesting chapter of class 10. So all the things which you have to study I am going to cover in this video, including the definition of polynomial, type of polynomial, on the basis of degree, on the basis of number of terms, and how to solve the quadratic polynomial, and which one is the polynomial and not a polynomial, and about the and also about the functions of the polynomial, and also I am going to talk about the relationship between the roots of a quadratic polynomial. That means all the things which we have to study in the chapter polynomial for the intention of class 10 I am going to teach you in this video. So first of all, what is the polynomial? So what is the meaning of polynomial? So we have, if you will see in the class 10th or 9th mathematics book, you will be able to get a very long definition of polynomial, but I am going to give you in a very simple way. That means when the variable power is in whole number, when variable power is in whole number, then it is called the polynomial. A variable power is in whole number, variable power is in whole number is called a polynomial. So what do you mean by this line? This is the ultimate which you have to remember. The variable power is in whole number, then you call the polynomial. Let's suppose we have written the x plus 5. So is this polynomial or not? So you have to check that which one is a variable in this. As you able to get it, 5 is the variable. So the what is the power of this variable now? Now we have nothing is the power, then 1 is the power. So it is a whole number. Yes, it is a whole number. So it is a polynomial. Let's suppose another example, x2 plus 5 plus 3x. So in this, what is the variable we have? So variable we have the x square and the 3x. And if I will said you the variable of this is the 1 and variable power of this one is the 2. So in both of them you are able to see that there is a whole number in the power of variable. So this is also a polynomial. This is also a polynomial. So in this you are able to get that if I write here the root of x, is this a polynomial? So you may confuse that what is this a polynomial or not. So you know that when you remove the root you will get the power as a 1 by 2. That means it is actually written the x power 1 by 2. Is this 1 by 2 a whole number? No, it is a fraction number, or you could say the rational number. So it is not a polynomial. So it is not a polynomial. So I think you understand how to identify any term which either a polynomial or not a polynomial. You have to just check whether the variable power is a whole number or not a whole number. If the variable power belongs to the whole number, then this term is called a polynomial. If the variable power doesn't belongs to the whole number, that means it is not a polynomial. And I think you got this concept. And let's suppose when you understand, then I am going to check you up with a problem. Like let's suppose the x root 3. So in this someone says that it is not a polynomial, because someone get confused that the power of this is 1 by 2, which is not a whole number, so it is not a polynomial. What I am talking, the variable power should be whole number. So here the variable power is the 1. It is about the constant power. So you have to check the variable power actually, because a student used to get confused from the variable and constant, and in the immediately solving the question get the wrong answer to a wrong conclusion. So I think you get it. So how to identify any term is either a polynomial or not a polynomial. So another concept which I am going to teach you, so I am going to write here the main thing which we have studied. The variable power should be in a whole number, should be a whole number, then it is called a polynomial. If it is not, then it is not a polynomial. So this is the main thing which we have studied. And another thing which I am going to teach you, the types of polynomial, because what is the polynomial are mainly categorized in the two form, on the basis of degree, that means the power, or on the basis of number of terms, So on the basis of number of term and on the basis of degree, we have get to a different type of polynomial. On the basis of degree, we have get the linear polynomial, quadratic polynomial, and the cubic polynomial. On the basis of the terms, we get the monomial, binomial, and the trinomial. So what is the meaning of linear polynomial? That means the highest variable power should be 1. Let's suppose we have given the 2x plus 5 plus 3 x plus 5. So as we get near, what is this a polynomial? So you will check the power of variable, which is the 1. That means it is a whole number, so that it is a polynomial. But it is belongs to which? So as you are able to get that the highest power of the x we have, which is the 1. So if the highest power of the x or a variable is the 1, then it is called the linear. And if the highest power of the variable is the 2, so it is called the quadratic. And if the highest power of the variable is the 3, then it is called the cubic. So I think you understand the what is the meaning of quadratic, cubic, and so on. So let's suppose I am giving you a question where the x square plus 5 of x minus my x square is equal to 0. If I will say, let's suppose if I will say, is this a polynomial? You will say yes, it is a polynomial because the highest power of the variable or all the variable is the whole number, so it is a polynomial. And if I will say it is which type of polynomial, on the basis of degree, you may get to say it is a quadratic polynomial. But here you are the wrong, because only you see the highest power of the variable is the 2. But for this you need to solve also, because it is in the plus x square and it is in minus x square. So it will cancel out and we have the final answer is the x square. And the highest power of this one is the 1. So it is going to be linear, not a quadratic. So you cannot immediately say any function or the equation either quadratic, cubic, or the linear. You have to solve, then after you could consider which one this is, because it depend upon your simplification. You cannot directly say to the anything, because in last we get a result which is the x 5x, and which is the linear equation, linear polynomial. So I have talked about on the basis of the degree, and now I am going to talk on the basis of number of terms. Let's suppose is the 5 a polynomial? So you will say, as you mentioned that the variable power should be in the whole number, but 5 is either a polynomial or not a polynomial. How we consider? Because there is no variable, so how will you consider? But in the mathematics you have to also understood that you could add in the mathematics anything which will not affect our function, which will, I am saying, you can add, subtract, and do anything with your question, equation, when it is not affecting to your function. That means you also used to see that when we have the 2x plus 5, then you may also see that sometimes you used to multiply the 2 by both the side or divide the 2 by both the side. So you could do in the mathematics because it doesn't affect your function. So like this you have to also understand that when you multiply the x power 0, that means the x power 0 means the 1, and 5 into 1 is actually a 5. So this is so we could say that 5 is equal to 5 into x power 0. So 5 can be written in this form, and here you get a variable x. So what is the power of this variable? The power of this variable is the 0, and 0 is the whole number. Yes, 0 is the whole number. So it is also a polynomial, but it is a special type of polynomial which is called a constant polynomial. So the 5 is also a polynomial, but it is a constant polynomial. So you could also conclude that all the real number belong to the polynomial. I think you get this concept and what I mean by this. And as you could multiply any variable when it is not affecting to your function, because the function is not get affected when I multiply by the x power 0. So I think you understand the type of polynomial. So as we get the monomial, that means if the number of term is the 1, like we have the number of term here the 1, and let's suppose we have to make it binomial. Binomial, that means we have to number of terms should be 2, and if I have to trinomial, That means let's suppose the x square plus 5 is equal to 6 of x. So as you are able to see that at the same time it is the trinomial, at the same time it is the quadratic on the basis of degree it is the quadratic, or on the basis of number of term it is the trinomial. So I think you understand the division of polynomial on the basis of number of term and on the basis of degree. And now I am going to teach about how you have to operate with the relationship between the zeros of the polynomial, which you mainly have studied in class 10, which you have to study. Talking about the quadratic polynomial, which you have to study in class 10th level. So I am going to talk specifically about this one. So for this, let's suppose a quadratic equation which is the x square plus 4 of x plus 4 is equal to 0. So this is a quadratic equation, and it is the trinomial on the basis of polynomial on the basis of the number of term. So it is the quadratic which is the trinomial. So if I will say you to solve, you may know that how to solve by the middle term splitting, which you have studied in the class 8, 9 and even in the more classes. So I think you know to solve how to solving the quadratic equation. But I am going to today teach you about the relationship between the zeros of the quadratic equation. For this I am going to use the method middle term splitting, which you know. So x square is equal to 2x plus 2x plus 4 is equal to 0. That means x is common, x plus 2, and then 2 is common, x plus 2 again here we get, and which it can be written as x plus 2, and the x plus 2 is equal to 0, and we get the x value is minus 2 and minus 2. So as you get the two zeros, but when I ask the sum of the zeros, that means 2, you get the two zeros. One is the minus 2 and another is also a minus 2. So you get the two zeros. And if I will ask sum of the zeros, that means the sum of the minus 2 and minus 2, which is the minus 4. Sum of minus 2 and minus 2, which is the minus 4. But for this, if I will ask the sum of the zeros, then you have to find this one. And if I will say the product of zeros, that means minus 2 into minus 2, which is plus 4. So you have to go through the two process. First of all, you have to find the zeros of the quadratic polynomial through this middle term splitting. Then you will add, then you get the sum of zeros, and when you multiply, you will get the product of zero. But now in class 10th, you have a formula to finding the sum of zeros and product of zeros without getting to the through the middle term splitting or solving the quadratic equation, which is by the let's suppose for this I am going to teach you a general form of quadratic equation. So as we get the quadratic equation is x square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. This is the general term. That means general term means all the quadratic polynomial exist in this form, because you are also able to see that we have the x square and we have here the x square, and what is the a? Nothing is a, then means 1 is a, because you can do anything in the mathematics if it is not affecting to your function. So when you multiply here the 1 in the x square, then there is no change in your question. So you could say here we have the 1. And if I will say what we have at the place of b, so we have the x here and x, and at the place of b we have the 4. And what is the place of c? The c we have also a 4, and a this is 1. So this is the general form of quadratic equation which you have to understand. The very important thing. So through this we get a formula. Let's suppose we get a two, as we solve this one equation, we get the two roots of this equation. One is the minus 2 and other is the also minus 2. Let's name this root. One is the alpha and let's suppose one is the beta. You could say either the x, y, but I said the alpha and beta. So as we get the alpha and beta are the two roots of the quadratic equation. And when I ask what is the alpha plus beta, then alpha plus beta, which you get the minus 4. But when I ask without solving, how will you identify alpha plus beta? So you could say alpha plus beta, we have formula which is minus b by a. That means we have in formula alpha plus beta minus b by a. What is the meaning of minus b by a? B means this term and a means this one term. So in this question, b we have the 4 and a we have the 1, and here formula talks about the minus b. That means multiplying the minus, you get the answer minus 4. So without solving a question, you get the alpha plus beta minus 4, and here you also get, so your formula get verified from here. And if I will say alpha into beta, alpha is in roots of the quadratic equation and beta is also a root. So when I say alpha into beta, so alpha into beta we have the plus 4, but when we haven't done this process, we have a formula which is the c by a. The c here we have this one, that means c here we have the 4, so write here c, and a we have the 1, so as we get here the 4, so as we also get through this conclusion plus 4, and also directly to the formula we get the plus 4. So I think you understand how we have to use this rule. So alpha plus beta we could write as a minus b by a, and the alpha into beta can be written as the c by a. So this is the two formula which we have to use ultimately in class 10 to find the quadratic sum of the answers like this. So let's suppose I am going to talk about an interesting question based on this concept which will asked in the CBSE board examination. Let's suppose we have an equation like the x square plus 4x, like the plus 4x. Let's suppose I am talking about something more interesting equation, like the, if I will talk, so let's suppose the x square plus 8 of x is equal to 8. So we have this one equation. If I will say the what is the sum of its roots, we will get the two root, one is the alpha and one is the beta. So if I will say the sum of this root, so you have not to find through the middle term splitting, just you will add the alpha plus beta, and we have in formula alpha plus beta can be written as the minus b by a, and here we know that this one is the a and this one is the b, or this one is the c. So we have the minus b, that means 8, and we have the minus sign also, and a we have the 1, that means the sum of the root is the minus of 8, and the product of root like this c by a, that means c we have the 8 and a we have 1, which can be written as 8. So this is what you have to understand. Through this formula you could just find out this thing without getting more confusion over this thing. So in the class 10th you have to just work upon based on the simplification to using these identities. So you may not able to understand what I am saying. So as you get the two thing, in this question alpha plus beta, which is the minus 8, and alpha into beta which is the 8, you get the two things from this equation. Now I am going to make a complicated question over this concept, which is like this, 1 by alpha plus 1 by beta is equal to 1 by alpha beta. So if I will ask what is the value of this according to this question, so you may confuse that I know the values of the alpha and beta, okay, but I don't know the values of 1 alpha by 1 beta. So how will I calculate the values of this one? So for this you have to just use your mind based on the simplification. Just you could take here this side the LCM, alpha beta will the LCM, and we will get here the beta plus alpha, and it's become the 1 by alpha beta, and alpha beta will be cancel out. So as we get here, what is the alpha plus beta is going to? So alpha plus beta which is going to equal to the minus 8. So the answer of this whole we get which is the minus of 8. So for this you have to use the simplification mind, a thing like this. So let's try something more interesting over this concept. if I will say what is the alpha minus beta, let's suppose alpha minus beta, we have the x according to this question. So find x or value of x. So how will you find? You know the alpha plus beta is minus 8, and you also know alpha into beta is the 8. Through this, now you have to find the alpha minus beta. But how will you find? So here it all about how you use your mind and how much you are affected by the mathematics and how all the things is going on. It is all about the simplification and how you have to done. So I am going to teach you to making the formula by your own concept in the mathematics. So let's suppose I have written, don't focus over this question, focused over what I am teaching you here to make a formula. Let's suppose we have the alpha plus beta here, alpha plus beta square, and if I have written here it is equal to alpha minus beta square. So then it is going to equal, so it can be written as 4 alpha plus beta. So this is going to be our a new identities for class 10 to solving such a problem or finding the values of alpha minus beta, because this is the new identity which you will get. If you want to the proof of this identity, you will just get, as you know that alpha plus beta can be written alpha square plus beta square and 2 alpha beta, and this can be opened as the alpha square plus beta square minus 2 alpha beta, and this can be written as 4 alpha beta. In conclusion, alpha beta cancel out, we get here the 2 alpha beta, and here we also get the 2 alpha beta which will cancel out. So as we get to a conclusion that this identity is the right ones. So we have to use this identity to find the value of alpha minus beta which is equal to x. That means we have to find the value of x which is equal to alpha minus beta. As you know the alpha plus beta which is the 8 minus 8, so minus 8 square can be written as u alpha minus beta. You have to find which you don't know the values of this, so let's remain this, and 4 into alpha into beta you also know which is the 8. So you could write here the 64 is equal to alpha minus of beta a square which is equal to like the 32. It's become the 32, and when you will get here that 32 is equal to alpha minus beta of a square. But here you have to find the alpha minus beta, not the alpha minus beta square. So what is going to answer? So answer is going to plus minus alpha 32 is equal to alpha minus of beta. This is going to answer you could get from this identity, and I think you must remember this identity along with its proof, because these identities you have to made by your own according to the requirement of the question. And thank you for today.